I'll try do this actually. Do that and then I'll just adjust it again.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
If I can adjust it.
It'll be alright, yeah. We'll have to
I'm sure once we turn,
Yeah, true.
do you want to go both ways? I copy a screen
Yeah.
and everything, but that's just probably going to be for the corners and stuff like that, and probably for a bit of throw-in.
Good, do you want me to pack a bit?
Do you want to just turn it and see? We'll go by. Yeah, I can deal with that.
All good?
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Did you need the blue one? Did you need the blue one? That's the blue one.
No, I'll just chuck it in the grey bag. Big cheese up. Huh?
Yeah, we're gonna miss that. For the
I printed off a bunch of stuff about the gym information, so
yeah, we're gonna trade off. They're missing that corner, we're missing that corner.
I'm surprised we both got up here.
Yeah.
I'll try make my movements not too big. Just a bit of pain,
yes. So I was already Kieran's already talked to me about I was in the process of lining up with a chaplain.
the scaffold's going to be gone on Monday, I'm pretty sure.
Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk with Ray.
Better filming from back there anyway, but
Yeah, when I was filming here on Monday, I had Pauline. I felt like I was just obstructing everyone's view.
yeah, man.
There was plenty of people here on Monday. Luckily, it's not too bad.
Anyone sitting on that side, it's not getting any of that.
Yeah, shit. This ground's probably not made for a scaffold on this side.
Yeah.
Unplug that, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. I have to unplug it though. Slight cut off at the front as well, but that's all.
Yeah. No way.
Is this getting straight?
Yep.
Yeah.
And Harry.
Oh, yeah, let's go to Monday.
Joe. Sorry, Claudia.
Yo,
I need the cable.
blue or yellow?
Yellow one's longer.
Yes, yellow ones. Oh yeah, yellow is slightly
This is
longer,
just a long way.
but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, but it's longer.
Yeah.
So, you're going to take that and
You plug it in?
I'll take this end, however long it is. Could have done 2 mics, but my other cable's not long enough.
Fair enough.
I can try.
In a situation like this, it's probably just better that we get on air and everything ready to go.
Well, if I untangle that, pretty sure I've got a big chunk.
There we go.
Hope.
There we go. That'll do. That'll be, yeah, that'll be fine.
Damn, no scoreboard either. Where's Carl? I like referring it for minutes.
No, it's fine.
That's right, I'll just press the record button.
Yeah.
still got it on internal microphone. So I'm going to switch it to yours now.
Hello and welcome to the Veneto Club here in what is round 24 NPL 2 action, cross-conference action, as the Eastern Conference's Melbourne City get set to host the Western Conference's Ballarat City. It's a contest which means different things for either side. For Melbourne City, they're still right in the chase of things, looking to secure a place in the second tier of Victorian football by finishing inside the top 6. Whereas for Ballarat, unfortunately so for the side from the Goldfields, it's more about playing for pride at this point. Having only won 2 games and drawn twice this season, they find themselves rooted to the bottom of the NPL 2 West table and are now trying to play spoiler for their younger rivals. My name is Joey Lynch here tonight out at the Veneto Club. I'm joined out here on co-commentary by Marissa Lordanic. Marissa, thank you for joining me tonight. Is there anything in particular you've got your eye on tonight?
Thanks for having me, Joey. Really looking forward to this clash. It is going to be interesting. Obviously, the teams have different things to play for, but I am really looking forward to see just how well City's young boys go. Obviously, it's already a youth team, but they're even younger tonight. So to see how they stack up against Ballarat City is going to be interesting. And of course, Ballarat, they've basically condemned themselves to Tier 3, so it is going to be really interesting to see how they, make the most of the rest of the season, and, that starts now.
Absolutely. Well, for Melbourne City, as alluded to, perhaps we don't have official confirmation on it, but we do believe quite possibly the youngest starting 11 ever in NPL history, with around an age of just 16.5 average. This Melbourne City side, perhaps the youngest we've seen since 2010, when the Victorian Training Centre briefly played in the top tier of the VPL. We'll quickly take you through the starting lineups before we get underway. For the hosts, starting in goal, number 1, Ahmed Taleb. Number 4, Nick Hatzigeorgiou. Number 7, Yaya Dukuli. Number 15, Luca Tavir. Number 26, Harry Politides. Number 33, Daniel Lucente. Number 35, Rafael Borges Rodriguez. Number 37, Luca Resti. Number 38, Emil Payos. Number 41, Jordi Valadon, making his first ever senior start at an NPL level. And wearing the oh-so-subtle number of 99, Stefan Kolakowski. For the visitors, number 1, starting in goal, Ryan Schornbach. Number 2, Tristan Romain. Number 7, Sean Romain. Number 10, Daniel Angeleski. Number 11, Chura Tarijath. Number 15, Jordan Lawton. Number 16, Leighton Lawton. Number 19, Jagai Dohaji. Number 21, Jalil Ragagu. Number 17, Daniel Tinker. And number 31, Alex Baker. As things get underway here at the Veneto Club. Let's say apologies on the pronunciation that I know I have already at this early stage butchered of the Ballarat players' names. As City are forced to work the ball back to Taleb. Early throw-in. The remnants of... That'll be a free kick early to Ballarat. The remnants of Wednesday night FFA's Cup encounter between Moreland Zebras and Bulleen still on show here at the Veneto Club. A giant scaffolding erected in the middle of the field, in the middle of the grandstand here at David Barrow Stadium, somewhat restricting the viewing angles here for the broadcast, but we'll do our best to bring it to you nonetheless. At the very least, our cameraman able to take advantage of it and bring you the unimpeded action. This ball is swung in Header onwards, but it's spilled by Taleb, and then it's an early strike for the visitors. Tristan Romain, the mistake made by Ahmed Taleb, just the ball slipping and sliding out of his hands, almost as if he just put butter on them or something in the lead-in, and Tristan Romain scoring his second goal of the season to give the visitors, Ballarat, an early lead. Morrison, disaster for the city.
A really unfortunate mistake by the City keeper there. It was a decent ball in from the free kick, so, you know, it was probing, but just, yeah, really unfortunate from Ahmed Talib there in the City goal, and Ballarat was able to capitalise on it.
So now, just minutes in to this contest, Melbourne City find themselves in a position where they have to come back from a goal down. With such a young side as Lucente moving onto the ball, getting it to Borges Rodriguez, just a situation like this, a young side, you've got to be wary of heads dropping, Marissa, and that they just get a bit crestfallen, and before they know it, they'd be down 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. But I suppose the inverse of that is that they're young, they're fearless, they've got nothing to lose really, and as we can see, they're breaking forward. DeCooley
on the ball, whips the ball in, but Borges Rodriguez just arriving late, unable to turn it in. He gives a thumbs up to his teammate, does the son of former Adelaide United attacker Cristiano dos Santos Rodriguez. One of the players with a proud bloodline in this game is Rafael. It's now Ballarat looking to come up through the left flank. However, it was played to Leighton Lawton, one of a number of siblings played today for Ballarat, unable to keep it in, and City can now move forward. However, that will be free kick won by the hosts and a chance to play something forward. DeCooley calling for it on the left. However, instead, Payos will turn to his right. Borges Rodriguez scored a goal on his senior debut against, I think it was Box Hill a few weeks ago, and he's won his side a corner. And normally, Marissa, in these situations, you say it's a chance for the attacking side to get the tall timber forward, but Melbourne City don't exactly have a lot of tall timber, do they?
Just lacking a little bit, and I suppose that's the age thing coming through. It's been an issue for them all season, but worth a try.
We will see what they're able to produce now. A number of players bunched around the edge of the area. Oresti and Kolakowski in the middle. Instead, they'll play it short. Hatzi Georgiou scuffs his shot. It had opened up for him. He couldn't do it, however, and now Ballarat have a chance to break. Men streaming forward. Angelevski eventually gets it to his left. To Duhaji. Duhaji shoots. Duhaji scores. And just like that, it's 2-0 to Ballarat. Just bang, bang, bang. The attempted shot from Hatzi Georgiou, not able to make proper connection. Ballarat lethal on the break, and it's now 2-0 to Ballarat.
That was a stunningly quick counter-attack from Ballarat City. Really beautiful, strong running down the centre of the park from Daniel Angelevski, and you could just see the real difference in body shape, without sounding weird, between the City player and the Ballarat player, just the difference between kind of boys and men as they streamed forward. It was a lovely finish from the Ballarat player, a really swift, nice goal, and really, yeah, not good for City at the moment. Hopefully it's not a case of the damn walls breaking and a lot of Ballarat City goals coming.
A real challenge now for this young side, led by head coach Peter Krentke. We have seen a couple of senior A-League figures already hanging around here as well, the likes of Paddy Kisnorbo. So a chance now for these youngsters as this ball comes straight out in front of our commentary position. Polititis nips in front and will whip the ball in, looking for Kolakowski, but it will go slightly long. Chance for the City boys to fight back perhaps, or Ballarat to score a rare win and really potentially for them put this game to bed very, very early. Another long ball in, this time is headed away. A chance for Oresti to come onto the ball. DeCooley stands there and watches it, and eventually the challenge comes in. Angelevski tries to play it forward for Duhaji. However, it's cut out, and another chance now for City to come forward through Borges Rodriguez. Eventually it just will spill out to Shawback. finding a twisting and turning both players, but eventually Ballarat will come away with the ball through Tarjath. Goals in the first 5 minutes to Ballarat, putting them up 2-0. And now they'll come again. The goal scorer, Remain. Working the ball from right to left are the visitors. Winning themselves a free kick as well. Good signs for Ballarat early. And if you are a senior side, Marissa, as we were talking about, this is really a chance to flex your experience and just really, as I said, put this game to bed early.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose they have the added advantage of the City team being so ridiculously younger than usual. So I suppose it's almost good for Ballarat because, as we've alluded to, they have not had the greatest season so far. Only 2 wins, 2 draws, only 8 points for the entire season. Very, very adrift of the rest of the table in NPL 2 West. So it might be nice to get that little confidence boost kind of looking forward to 2020.
As we said, Ballarat will be in the 3rd tier of Victorian football next year with the coming reforms to the NPL structure. Well, they would have been in the 3rd tier regardless of what had happened, given their position, but they will not be relegated to the state leagues as a result of those reforms. Instead, they will find themselves in VPL. As that shot did come in, was rather well struck from Valadon, but Shawback getting down well to keep the ball out. And again, the visitors can move forward on the right. Ball in the hands of Baker, a teenage right back. And there are a few youngsters running around as well for Ballarat. That time, Jordan Lawton unable to keep it in, but his side does have a throw in. Payoffs. He's forced to just play the ball all the way back to Hatsi Giorgio, who normally plays as a 6th as Hatsi Giorgio, but with a number of players on international duty for City, he's pressed into centre-back duty. DeCooley working against Baker. Eventually men swarm around him. Angeleski in there as well. And DeCooley coughs it up, but it's come straight back out. Aresti in position. Aresti pulls the trigger from range, but it does go over the bar, and it will be a goal kick to the visitors. And perhaps if you do find yourselves down 2-0 early in a game like City have done, Marissa, just pulling the trigger from range, trying to find some form of inspiration is the best strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got nothing to lose, so you might as well have a crack. You've still got plenty of game time to regain your confidence, and there's no better way than pinging a few from far out.
As the ball comes back, and Lucente will go back to collect the ball. As I mentioned, City missing, well, pretty much, if you were to look at Melbourne City's starting lineup at the beginning of the NPL season to now, it has completely changed. You could construct an entire starting 11 of players who have either left the club or who have picked up international duty this week and are unavailable for selection, or in the case of centre-back Mitch Graham, the captain, who is injured. Alec Mills and Bradley Chick, 2 members of the starting defence, have received a call-up to Gary Van Egmont's first Young Socceroo squad. They will be at the 2019 AFF Under-18 Championships. As the ball comes out to Talib, and Talib is just forced to put his boot through it. And Aresti gives the way the free kick. Just a bit too eager there with his working of Jordan Lawton under the ball. As Bradley Chick and Alec Mills receiving call-ups, as did Gianluca Iannucci, who had been playing as the starting number 9 in the recent weeks as a result of Moody Najjar receiving a call-up to the A-League. So that was a dangerous-looking ball coming in, and Taleb had to be aware of the danger, this time holding it strongly. City also started the season with Sam Morrison as an option up front, but he unfortunately suffered a very severe leg break against Moreland Zebras. As now Kolakowski flicks a ball over the top, looking for DeCooley. DeCooley, the ball is bouncing. He's forced to just turn around and working back to goal. Trying to manoeuvre his way around. Eventually gets it to Borges Rodriguez. Kolakowski chips it in towards the back post, just cleared away. Players giving chase, and this is another chance maybe for Ballarat to break quickly. Only still going. Ball just worked forward to Lawton. That is Leighton Lawton, number 16. His brother wearing 15. Valadon. Borges Rodriguez. Payos rides the challenge, but it will be Sean Romain coming away with the ball. It's going to get very confusing with all the Romains and Lawtons running around tonight. Eventually Ballarat just forced away, get all the way back to Shawback in goal. Kolakowski applying the pressure, and City bringing up the press, which eventually forces Ballarat to put it out of play. You can see now Morrison City applying that press and trying to drag momentum back into their corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see they're just trying to maintain possession, do the things that they do well. So smart passes, and they're moving forward as we see.
That ball played in by Aresti is cut out. Discretion the better part of valour from the Ballarat defence, and it will be a throw in deep on the attacking left flank for Melbourne City. Of course, Ballarat's captain, Josh Romain, one of 3 Romains on the team sheet, on the bench tonight. As that ball comes out, shot comes in, very wicked looking shot from Payos, but he's just slashed it wide. In the end, probably closer to the corner flag than the actual goals, and it will be another goal kick. Luckily, it seemed to get caught up in the trees, because behind the goals there, through the trees, it's not an area you want to be scrounging for balls in at this time of night. Used to be a dump at one point, I believe, so not exactly the nicest place to go searching for. As the ball is played forward. Ballarat still in possession, trying to work it over to the right flank to Tarjath. Instead, they'll kick it around the middle. Sean Romain plays it to Alex Baker on the right. Alex Baker gets it out to Tarjath. And Tarjath keeps going. Excellent run from the youngster. Tarjath plays it into the middle, but Taleb getting down low to keep it out. And you can see them, Marissa, just the speed that Ballarat have up front. Speed does kill.
Yeah, Tarjath looked really good running down the right-hand flank, and you can tell that Ballarat are probably going to get a lot of use out of him down that flank. It was a great ball in, and, next time there will be someone on the spot to finish it off, you reckon?
Tarjath going to work against Harry Politidis tonight at left back. One of these very young members of the Melbourne City squad. First choice left back Mark Carlich still serving a 5-week suspension for a red card that he picked up against Bulleen Lions. Was named in City's FFA Cup squad though, so theoretically one of those should have been wiped away in their midweek win over Campbelltown City in the FFA Cup by the senior side. City once again coming forward. Lawton gets the ball forward, and then he just whips a ball over the top looking for Duhaji. Duhaji is forced to just hold the play up. Ball coming into the area, men waiting. Tarjath, what can he do with it? Twisting and turning. In the end, it's well done to put the ball out for a corner kick. Chance now for the bigger bodies of Ballarat to maybe get something going from the corner kick. One man on Talib, the rest making their runs in now, and it's going to come in towards the back post. And in the end, able to get ahead to it was Ballarat, but it's gone out for a goal kick to Talib. And he'll just take it quickly. City looking to play out from the back. Luca Tavir. Sorry, that's Hatsi Georgie. Both centre-backs have long hair. My apologies. Hatsi Georgie breaking forward. Played to Payos, but Payos running into a brick wall of defenders. He's forced to go back to Talib. Now it's Luca Tavir. Play it to Lucente. He'll then whip it forward for Borges Rodriguez. He's got Valadon in support. Eventually he uses Jordi Valadon. Now you can just see the size difference there as Jalil Regagu we'll go with, Jalil Regagu. Marshals him out of play for a throw in deep on the right flank, which is taken quickly. City have a chance to maybe catch Ballarat unawares. The ball is eventually whipped in. Dukuli rises, but couldn't rise high enough. And Ballarat are able to just boot the ball clear. Will City be able to keep it in? No, they won't. Instead, the ball will fall into the hands of Poliatides. He'll take it quickly. Payos eventually coming under pressure from Duhaji. Does enough to win his side of throw. But Duhaji, look at that. The speedy immediately gets up to get in the face of Hatsi Giorgio and forces City to just reset through Taleb. Tavir out to Lucente. Lucente plays a long ball looking for the run of Kolakowski. Valadon. Rafael Borges Rodriguez. He's got men in the middle. Gets it to Kolakowski. Kolakowski shoots. He'll get a second bite of the cherry. Will Kolakowski. This time he's going to have to look to find a teammate. Eventually he lays it back all the way to Lucente. Lucente whips the ball into the area for nobody in particular. Cleared away by Tristan Romain. Giorgio heads it straight back. Oresti, you can hear the cries from the City teammates. Borges Rodriguez. He'll get a ball in, looking for Kolakowski, but it's headed straight at Ryan Shawback in the Ballarat goal, and Ballarat will live to fight another day, Marissa.
That was a really solid period of possession for Melbourne City. You could see they were really, just looking to play the right pass, find the right space, find the right teammate, and it came off, and the shot was quite good, directed straight at the keeper, but, that's what you want to see from City. This is what their strengths are, and as long as they keep doing that, they will threaten Ballarat.
As Stephen Kolakowski gets a bit of a telling off from the referee for interfering with Ryan Shawback. The ball is whipped over the top looking for the run of Tarjeth, but instead City are able to get in the way of the ball. And it will be sky blue ball on that attack in left flank. Baker giving away the free kick, and it's taken quickly. Payos. Kolakowski back to Payos, but move doesn't arise. Now Tarjeth has the ball. He'll get it forward to Lawton. Lawton is fouled, perhaps a professional foul there from Melbourne City to just prevent Ballarat, as we've seen they're capable of doing, from breaking quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. They need to do what they can to stop Ballarat with the, the bigger bodies and the quick attacks. So not condoning it, but I see where they're coming from.
Always nice to see youngsters mastering the dark arts as quickly as possible. Luca Tavir just puts the ball out, gains a few metres for his side as well, but it will be a Ballarat throw-in. Now City has the free kick, and they'll just play it back to Tavir. And Payos, excellent awareness to know that he was able to turn, and he'll just splay the ball across the field well to Poliatides. He'll get it to Dukuli. Dukuli still has the ball, but trying to just get it over the top of the defenders and find a man, just beats everybody, and it's gone out for another goal kick.
You can see when City do try and whip the high balls in, it's not going to work as well as them going along the ground. And we've seen that in the quality and the kind of threateningness of the attacks that they've produced, you know, whipping a ball in versus playing it along the ground. So, you know, while I get the rationale behind whipping in the cross and finding your player on the spot, I just think City will be better off playing it along the ground, you know, using the technical abilities of the players and, you know, breaking down the Ballarat defence that way rather than trying to out-jump or out-muscle these, you know, much taller, much bigger men.
Was such a problem for City in their game last week against Goulburn Valley Suns as well. The physical domination that the Suns players had, especially in that first half, presenting a lot of troubles for City, but now they'll come forward. Ball on the right flank, ball comes in, but again, Ballarat just getting in the way at the crucial moment. And Gillespie. Eventually the foul is given and it will be City. Now Lucente has taken it quickly and it looks as though they'll get away with the ball. Borges Rodriguez on the right flank. A couple of step overs there from the youngster, but he's going to come under a significant pressure from Leighton Lawton. City, however, will retain possession, but that ball intended for Oresti is cut out by Targeth. Now Angeleski has a chance to come forward, but he will inadvertently take it out of bounds, and it will be another City throw in here on the right flank. And again, they'll take it quickly. So we're seeing a definite strategy in place from City to try to keep play moving as quickly as possible. Poliatidis, Dukuli, Payos, clever touch to retain possession, cuts back inside, twisting and turning, looking for men in support, eventually gets it out to Valadon, who goes to Lucente. Valadon, Dukuli, back heel to Valadon, now Borges Rodriguez, whips the ball in, looking for a man, Kolakowski arriving. Kolakowski just unable to get a proper shot on it, and it will be a corner kick, but there we go. We see, Marissa, as you were saying, City keeping the ball on the ground and almost paying off.
That's exactly the kind of attack that you want to see from City, because look at it, you know, it almost resulted in a goal, that kind of chaos where, you know, it's in an awkward position for the Ballarat defence to deal with. So that's what I want to see from City.
So now we see Oresti standing over the ball, and he'll deliver a ball in towards the back post. Nobody waiting for it, however. Payos giving chase. But Ballarat will be able to boot the ball long here, and now there's a chance for Duhaji to go to work. And you can just see, well, that ball has gone all the way onto the roof of the Veniso club. I have no idea how you're supposed to get up there. We might have a... And both sides felt as though it was their ball as well. Simultaneous throw-ins from both sides, but it was, in the end, a City ball. But just once again, the pressure from Duhaji, he's quick as a flash, getting in there to monster the City backs. And then joining in was Targeth. And they're forced a turnover here with that pressure. Fantastic play from the Ballarat attackers. City forced to just go back to Taleb. And now Taleb himself is going to come under pressure. And then the turnover forced. Magnificent work from Ballarat. And they'll get the ball down the touchline. They were looking to spring Jordan Lawton. However, the pass is just a bit heavy there. And you can see just absolutely no peace at all for Melbourne City.
As I say, it's an obvious game plan from Ballarat, and, you know, it makes sense. Why not use, you know, the very obvious advantages that you have over your opponents? So we're bound to see more of it to, you know, continue to pressure the City defence, because it's already worked a couple of times, so I can't see why they'd stop doing it now.
Well, already 2-0 up are Ballarat. Two goals in the first 5 minutes of play, but now City coming forward. Valadon, he'll whip a ball in towards... Dukuli was arriving late, but Shawbank, aware of the danger, getting down low. And even if the ball had beaten Shawbank, there was Alex Baker there waiting to apply pressure to Yaya Dukuli. And now we just see Shawbank play a ball long in the direction of Duhaji. Tavir has to get a boot in, but he does so well. Payos comes back and plays it to Hadji Georgiou. Tavir. Lucente. And once again, you see Duhaji arriving. And now the switch potentially is on. Poliatidis. He's forced to go back to Hadji Georgiou. But now Hadji Georgiou has a bit of space to work in, but until it's closed down by Angeleski. Payos comes under pressure from Lawton, and now the turnover has come. And Ballarat moving forward once again. Angeleski rides the challenge and gets it out to Lawton. Leighton Lawton, that was. Now Ballarat will come and back, bring it back to Baker on the right flank. He'll put it wide to Targeth. Targeth under pressure from Poliatidis, but he does win his side a throw-in. Baker into Lawton. Played long in the direction of Targeth, and he'll come inside. And eventually win his side a corner. Now the tall bodies of Ballarat moving forward again. The likes of Tristan Romain and Alex Baker getting forward. Dohaji waiting in there as well. Instead, the corner is taken short and it will be whipped in by Sean Romain, but headed away by Hatzi Georgiou. Romain goes up to challenge it. Eventually spills out. Throw-in taken by Baker. Targeth is forced to play it back. DeCooley is there waiting for the turnover, and that will be a free kick. Baker just a second late, rather, with his challenge. And a chance for City to maybe get something going, but they'll play it short and immediately come under pressure once again. And that's a turnover from Taleb. And it will come in, and the flag will go up there. It was a turnover directly at Targeth by Taleb, but Targeth, instead of backing himself, did the unselfish thing, looking for Dohaji. Dohaji offside. Should he have backed himself there, Marissa?
He probably should have, and he probably should have realised that his teammate was offside as well. So a lucky escape for the City boys there. Lucky not to be 3-0 down.
Now, they'll try to manoeuvre around, but they just can't seem to play their way through this press from Ballarat. Eventually, they'll come out to Valadon, and he'll play a ball in behind the defence, looking for Borges Rodriguez, but it will stray slightly too close to Shawback, and Shawback will collect and get it out to Baker. And Baker will play it to Romain, who'll just boot the ball long in the direction of Targeth. But Hatzi Georgiou gets across, and he'll put the ball out and onto top of the roof here at David Barrow Stadium, taking no chances. Will be Baker advancing all the way up the field to take the throw in. Kolakowski will head it across. Valadon will get there, and Kolakowski will now spray it across the field looking for Borges Rodriguez. City trying to break forward in transition, but you can see Ballarat getting back very quickly to re-establish their defensive shape. And they will win the ball. And half an hour gone here at the Veneto Club, Marissa. We've seen Ballarat take a 2-goal lead in the first 5 minutes, and then no goals since, but the fierce pressure from Ballarat coming in again. If you are City head coach Peter Kratky, what are you thinking at this point, as we'll briefly pause as Dohaji comes forward again? It could be a third for Ballarat. Dohaji shoots, but it finds the side netting there. A couple of Ballarat fans behind us thought it was in, but if you are head coach Peter Kratky, Marissa, how are you plotting to get your side back into this one?
It's a great question, and I am not a coach, so I feel like I need to preface everything I say with that. But, the boys know how to pass. They know how to move quickly, so they need to just continue doing the things they know how to do well, as, they're breaking forward now. But, it's more a case of don't try to outmuscle them, don't try to outjump them, because you're not going to do that. So instead focus on what you do well, which, as we've seen, is the kind of the passing combinations, the smart runs forward and whatnot. So City just need to keep their heads up and, I suppose, believe in what they know they can do and their game plan, and don't try to out Ballarat because it's just not going to work for them.
You'll see Valadon on the ball. He'll be forced to play back to Lucente. Back to Tavir, who then plays it forward to Borges Rodriguez. Valadon, two of the youngest members of City's side, working out there on the right flank. Valadon twisting and turning against the young member of Ballarat side in Lawton. Because I have been hammering home the point about City's side being one of the youngest in the league with an average age which is 16.5, but there are quite a few teenagers running around for Ballarat as well. In fact, if we could get an accurate reading on it, I'm sure there are a few Football Victoria historians which would be interested to see if perhaps this was the lowest average age for both sides in Victorian footballing history. As again, ball played forward for Duhaji just gives City's defence nightmares. Taleb forced to come out and collect it. And now a turnover. That was Jordan Lawton sticking a boot out in front of it and collecting the pass, and Ballarat will try to come forward through Shawback. Romain just goes across to his left. Both sides battling in the midfield, and Ballarat will come away with it again. Will they look to go over the top again? Well, they can't because City get a body in the way. Comes out to Baker. Trying to work a 1-2, but the pass from Lawton to the feet of Targeth eventually goes out. Aresti. Severe. Now there is a bit of space for City to work in if they can exploit it. Lucente. Borges Rodriguez. Easily recognisable in the orange boots, which I thank him for. Gets it back to Lucente, and he'll whip a ball in, but Kolakowski can't collect it properly, and it will be a corner kick here. And Morrison, we know what sort of reputation they have on certain segments of social media, but if you are City with this lack of height, do you try to go for a short corner here?
I'm personally not a fan of them, but I think it's the smartest option for them. I think it's almost a waste of an opportunity to be, pinging it in high. So I'm all for the short corner routine, some sort of variation, use the opportunity, but not in the traditional way.
As we see, the short corner is taken by City. Borges Rodriguez comes under immediate pressure from Lawton, however. But he's done well to get into the byline, and he'll cut it back. Bodies flying around. Kolakowski wants impingement. He wants a handball, actually. Insistent that in that mass of bodies, the ball eventually found a hand. It won't come, however, and Shawback will put the ball out for one of his players to receive treatment. And there we go, Marissa. We see the short corner routine. Well, it probably wasn't so much the short corner routine as a bit of individual brilliance by Borges Rodriguez almost paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't, I would prefer if it was a different kind of short corner routine, but that's just me being anti-short corners. But, we can see that's the kind of thing that City needs to do. It needs to be a little bit different if they are going to find a goal and find a way back into this game. So, it was beautiful work from Borges Rodriguez, and more of the same will eventually, pay dividends for City.
As I see, play is now set to resume. Shawback's clearance is very poor. It's gone straight to Borges Rodriguez, and Borges Rodriguez will tee up an effort. Probably took him a second to just get over the shock of suddenly having the ball at his feet, and eventually he's put it over the bar. And we do require new balls, please. Another chance now for Ballarat to break. That was Lawton. He's got men in support. Eventually he'll just try to switch the play across to Targeth, who was screaming for it. And eventually he's rewarded. Tries to get to the byline, and he whips the ball back in. Men waiting for it. It's headed off the crossbar by, I think it was Lucente, inadvertently scoring what would have been an almost spectacular own goal. But instead, City just survive here with a Ballarat throw-in. But Lucente is not going to score many headed goals in his career at his height, Marissa. But unfortunately, on that occasion, if he had done, it would have been one of the own variety.
Yeah, not a great look scoring an own, or almost scoring an own goal, but you can see that that's just kind of what Ballarat needs to do. And, you know, City almost do every time a ball is whipped in high, it's kind of panic stations almost, because they're obviously aware that they're at a disadvantage in those situations. So there is almost an element of, oh bugger, we're, you know, under attack here, we're a little bit panicked. So I think there needs to be a little bit of composure in those situations, and obviously, you know, the best form of defence in that would be to stop the ball coming in the first place, but obviously that's a lot easier said than done, as we've got a free kick.
No chance. It is taken quickly, perhaps before City can get ready, but at the same time, perhaps before Ballarat can get ready at the same as well. And it will cross the line for a goal kick, which Taleb serves as his own ball boy for. Taleb, another international representative in this City side, member of the Joey squad, not the one currently competing at the AFF Under-15 Championships. Taleb instead, slightly older cohort that will be headed off to Brazil later this year for the Under-17 World Cup. Yaya Dakuli, who expressed his frustration there at not being able to bring down the ball, another member of that squad. Now Kolakowski putting Romain under fierce pressure. Eventually, though, Tristan Romain does his job. Gets it back to Shawback. Hatzi Georgiou now. Poliatidis. Men lurking once again, and he'll just be forced to play it all the way back to Taleb. Challenge coming in from Leighton Lawton on Lucente wins City a free kick. Two Lawton brothers out there for Ballarat. Maybe a bit of extra motivation for them to get the win tonight, given that they have another brother who is in the Melbourne Victory Academy. And now it's a turnover. Angeleski trying to potentially maybe get net an assist, or he's a threat to score himself. Does have 6 goals so far on the season, does Daniel Angeleski. Had a brief stint with Geelong this season, but now he's back in Ballarat colours, and now this time they can come away. Targeth. Over the ball, spills away, and it will be a Melbourne City throw-in. Taken quickly in the direction of Dakuli, working against Baker. He just flicks it over the top with his head, and the speed of Dakuli now can come into it. He's gotten past Baker, left him in his dust. He's got an avenue to goal on his left boot if he wants it. He cuts inside. Dakuli, still going. Gets it across! Men arriving, and it's in the back of the net from Rafael Borges Rodriguez. The two South Australian boys. Dakuli breaking up the left flank. Gets it in the middle of the field, and then City bundle it over the line. It wasn't pretty, Marissa, but it's now 2-1 to Ballarat City.
It was a very quick break down the left-hand flank, and Dakuli really did make a fool out of the Ballarat City player. You know, he was flat on his face, but, you know, he was smart. He kept going towards goal. He was able to cut in, and again, low along the ground, put it across the face of goal. And, you know, Borges Rodriguez was there to tap it in, where we've seen previously City hasn't had that player, or it's been cut out by Ballarat. Finally, it's, you know, come to fruition, and they've got that goal back, and it's probably a really good time for them with half-time looming. You know, they're back in this game, and if they can equalise before we head to the break, it could be game on and a really interesting second 45 to follow.
Absolutely. Now as Ballarat maybe looking to get something going, but a strong challenge in there from Hatzi Georgiou will put it out, and then Dakuli, who won't get his name on the score sheet, but really that goal was pretty much all him, will collect. Now Aresti. Goes back to Taleb, but Taleb's distribution to Payos will put him under pressure from Duhaji. He'll go back to Tavir, to Lucente. Apologies to kids in cars, if anyone could pick that up over the microphone. Bit of feeling out there. Now it will be a free kick for the visitors, much to the disgust of Cracky in the Melbourne City dugout. Bit of feeling seeping into this one, Marissa.
Yeah, it's not pleasant to see, but it shows that even though City really are the ones with something on the line, in this game, that they're still putting it out there. There's still, it's still a game of football, and you still want to win. So it is good to see that there is that feeling. We'd rather people don't get hurt or anything like that, but it's good to see that just because your season's done and dusted in the case of Ballarat City, there's still some fight left in the side.
Eventually, play resumes after that bit of a fracas, and it will be with Romain. He'll get it across to Baker. Baker coming under pressure from DeCooley, and then the City press this time. So both sides looking to press, and this time it is the side in sky blue that forced the turnover from it. Payos. Work it across to Licente. But Licente is robbed of the ball by one of the Lawton brothers, who finds his sibling, and then it works the way to Angeleski. He's got some time. He'll play it out to Targeth. But then Targeth's... Was he shooting, Marissa, or was he crossing?
Whatever he was doing, he won't be doing that again.
Yes, I think, yes. Probably the best read of things, one would say. As we tick over into the final minutes of the first half, if you are just joining us, Ballarat were ahead after just 2 minutes of play. Tristan Romain bundling in a close range shot after Taleb spilled a free kick, as that long shot comes in there from Duhaji. This time a stronger collection from Taleb, and that was that man, Duhaji, that put his side ahead 2-0 in the 5th minute after a lethal fast break after City had scuffed a shot, enabled them to break through in numbers, and then City recently equalising after a bit of individual brilliance from DeCooley to spring himself down the left flank and whip in a low cross that was eventually bundled over the line from Rafael Borges Rodriguez. And now DeCooley slides another in ball. Kolakowski is offside. Kolakowski was offside. He did the unselfish thing and laid it off for Aresti. However, the linesman's flag had been raised in the lead-in, but there we see Marissa just keeping the ball on the deck, as you're saying, just playing their way through Ballarat and almost finding that equaliser before the half.
That through ball from DeCooley was excellent, and I've mentioned it before, they know what to do, so it's more about the confidence to execute that, and that's exactly what we saw just then. Unfortunate that it was offside.
Now Valadon gets it to Borges Rodriguez, who backs himself to come in, gets it back out to Valadon, and she spills out to Kolakowski. Kolakowski with the ball, playing up front as the number 9, a rare position for him. City getting forward, ball will weave across low, Kolakowski arriving it. DeCooley is there on his left boot, DeCooley shoots, it's blocked away. And it did fall to Kolakowski, but he didn't know anything about it. And it has gone out instead for a goal kick, but perhaps this young side getting over the shell shock of going down 2-0 and growing into this game as the half. They probably want another 10-15 minutes of this half, wouldn't they, Marissa?
I think that's an excellent call, and you can just see it's all about, the tight spaces, but the quick through balls, and, they're making it work. They're finding, the passages of space where earlier they weren't. There was always a Ballarat body or a Ballarat boot in the way. So it's, they really have come into this game, and they will be sad that, we are heading towards the halftime break.
Kratke playing ball there, head coach Peter Kratke, advocating for his side for a throw, but they've immediately turned it over from the throw-in, and it's a chance for Ballarat to come forward. That ball coming out to Jordan Lawton, but a turnover now. Borges Rodriguez. Strong but fair challenge there from Sean Romain, and then Sean Romain is bundled over by Emil Payos. From my opinion, the challenge from Sean Romain was fair. Marissa, was it in your book?
It was to me as well.
So, no doubt the follow-up from Payos, I don't think anybody except maybe head coach Peter Kratke would say it wasn't a foul. And now Sean Romain, the central midfielder, will take it and just slide it across to Alex Baker. But that pass is poor, and now Borges Rodriguez in those bright orange boots will move on to the ball. To Lucente on the right. Try to slide the ball into Valadon. Valadon cuts the ball back, but Tristan Romain taking absolutely no chances and puts it out for a corner kick. De Cooley heading over to take it. His South Australian mate, Borges Rodriguez, ambling over as well to present a short option. Oresti is waiting on his own outside the area, and eventually City will go short, but this time Borges Rodriguez can't produce a bit of magic. And that is it, half-time here at the Veneto Club. So we started out with some absolute fireworks. Ballarat taking a 2-0 lead after just 5 minutes of play, thanks to goals from Tristan Romain and Zagai Duhaji. But City answering back in the final moments of the first half through Rafael Borges Rodriguez after that run from De Cooley down the left to set him up. And Marissa, how did you see that opening 45?
It was a half of two halves, if you'll forgive my cliche. It was, a very strong start from Ballarat, and they capitalised and made the most of it with those 2 early goals. But you could see that there was a kind of dynamic shift in the sense that City grew into the game and grew in, I suppose, their game plan and were rewarded with that goal back. So it's going to be a very interesting second half.
Absolutely, a very interesting second half. City desperately trying to keep their hopes of staying or finishing in the top 6 alive at the end of the season. Ballarat playing for pride, but at the moment should be proud of their performance. So be sure to join us on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages for what should be a big second half. Welcome back here to the Veneto Club for the second half of Melbourne City versus Ballarat City. Just going back and looking at the stream during half-time, discovering that there are no graphics, so I will let you know that the score is Ballarat City 2 with 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes versus Melbourne City 1 after a late goal to Rafael Borges Rodriguez as we get back underway. It was a game in the first half in which Ballarat really started out like a house on fire. That fierce press and their ability to break quickly really paying dividends, but Melbourne City, this young Melbourne City side, eventually stemming the bleeding from those early goals and growing into the game and perhaps finishing over the top. My name is Joey Lynch. Thank you for joining us on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages as we'll briefly pause as City come forward through Lucente. Lucente will whip a ball over the top in the direction of Kolakowski, but Ryan Shawback is there to collect. Yes, my name is Joe Lynch on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages. I'm joined by Marissa Lordanic on analysis. And Marissa, if you are, well, we'll start with Ballarat. If you are the head coach of Ballarat, what is your message to your side at the half?
Good to be back for the second half. My message would be, we know how to score goals. We scored them quickly and, swiftly in that opening kind of 10 minutes. So
that ball is flicked on, but Shawback collects. Apologies for interrupting, Marissa.
That's all right. So basically, let's do more of that. We have obvious advantages over this team. Let's utilise them because we know it works.
As we see there, Duhaji utilising some of those physical advantages to apply the pressure to Tavir, but eventually City can play through there, and they do that well. Payoffs now to Aresti. Aresti will flick the ball forward even further to Poliatides, and he'll come it into Kolakowski. He'll flick it off of Dakuli. Appeals for offside, and they will be rewarded as the flag has gone up. So that's the message if you are head coach James Robinson in the Ballarat dugout, but if you are head coach Peter Kratke in the Melbourne City dugout, what was your message to the boys at halftime?
Kind of similar message, to be honest, that, you've grown into the game, you found the goal, you now know what works against this opposition who had obvious ways of stopping you. So let's do more of the same. Let's focus on our strengths, not try and outplay a game we're going to lose or, try and beat someone at their own game because it's not going to work. So more of what we do best, and I reckon that that's what they will aim to do, which is, playing along the deck, using, speed and technical ability and kind of finding those little pockets of space and the right pass rather than trying to outmuscle or outjump the Ballarat boys.
You see Duhaji there, twisting and turning and eventually breaking away through with it, but that's Hachi Giorgio on the spot. Now City have a chance to move forward into transition, getting it to Dakuli on the left. But that will again be offside. Stefan Kolakowski playing in an unfamiliar position of the number 9 today with the departure of the likes of Gianluca Iannucci to international duty and Moody Najjar to A-League duty, is called for offside. Now Ballarat City trying to work the ball across their field. I want to mention that fierce battle in the middle of the field, and eventually Tavir will try to nick it forward, but then immediately picked out by Sean Romain. Played out wide to Tarjeth. But Tarjeth can't keep it in, and it will be a throw into Melbourne City, which is taken quickly. It's a relatively mild night here at the Veneto Club. It's those of you who have been to the ground before will know that it has the potential to get very, very, very cold. But not warm, but not too cold here, as we'll see Ballarat City coming forward once again through Lawton, and he attempts to find Duhaji in the middle, but his pass is wayward and City will cut it out. They'll try to work it forward to Lucente, but Lucente can't retain possession, and now Jordan Lawton gets the ball. And he'll flick it into the middle to Angeleski. He'll just have to go back to Sean Romain. Ballarat trying to just reload and come again, but in an unfamiliar position perhaps of trying to have to play the ball up rather than break quickly. So that's a miscommunication between Talib and Hatzi Georgiou. Doesn't make them pay, but the pitfalls of a young side, Marissa, maybe those things that a professional footballer does without second thought, such as communication, they're a bit lacking in.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned before, Hatzigeorgiou is playing out of position. So even just, not being the last line of defence, communicating with your keeper, it's all a bit, new to the City players. But, they've made it work. They've got the lucky escape and hopefully they learn from it and it doesn't happen again.
That ball will go out for a throw-in for Ballarat, taken quickly. Remain. They'll just play the ball back to his defence, and that is booted clear, but straight to a Melbourne City defender. Now, Aresti, that's going to be a handball. Inadvertent, but the ball did careen into the young midfielder's hand. And that will be a free kick given away against Daniel Lucente. Ballarat will switch it from left to right, and eventually they'll try to come up that flank. Twisting and turning was Targeth, but he can't penetrate this City defence. Now City, that's a clever turn from Hatzigeorgiou to find payoffs in a bit of space. And now City have matriculated the ball across to some opening space on the right. Lucente plays the ball in the middle of the field to Aresti. DeCooley makes a run. He's ignored. Instead, the ball will go to Poliatidis. It's played in the middle of the field, but then the wall of Ballarat City's defenders extracts its toll, and it goes all the way through to Ryan Shawback. But now Lucente on the ball. Turnover here. Lucente plays it long along the turf to Borges Rodriguez. Borges Rodriguez, a few step overs, looking for the ball in. Eventually it does come. DeCooley just can't get on the end of the ball. We saw those two combine inversely in the first half to set up Borges Rodriguez goal, but that time DeCooley just unable to get a boot on the ball. And it will remain with City. DeCooley throwing the ball in. And another throw in here, so perhaps signs, Marissa, that City will retain that form that they ended on strongly in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no reason why they, shouldn't have carried it into this second half because, as we've alluded to earlier in the game, they're young, they're fearless. They really do have nothing to fear and they shouldn't be bogged down by, a poor start. And they've already started to recover from that with that first goal. And will hopefully do more of the same in the second half.
We see Luca De Veer. He did turn the ball over, has the former futsal Roo. And it will enable Targeth to break up the right, but then the strong challenge comes in and now changes City. And that a rarity for City. A long ball over the top for Kolakowski. Can he twist and turn? Eventually he just goes down, unable to keep his feet under the attention of Tristan Romain. Doesn't win a free kick. Gets back to his feet and applies the pressure to Ryan Shawback to win his side. A throw in deep on the attack in left flank. Kolakowski, one of the interesting stories in the Melbourne City attack line, completely tore his ACL in the final game of the 2017 NPL season. Had to go through a long and arduous rehab process to come back. He's also, apparently, I've learnt the other day, a big fan of manga. As City take the corner here deep on the left flank. Another short corner as we observed them doing in that first half. And again they'll go short. But Ballarat well aware of the dangers from it. Borges Rodriguez, fantastic spin move to just break. And he's done it again, Borges Rodriguez. And he whips a low ball in, but it's cut out by Romain. But Borges Rodriguez making only his second start at a senior NPL level, showing he has absolutely no fear. We've talked about his pedigree, and you can see it on display in some of those classy little moves, but that will be an offside. Yet another offside in this second half, Marissa. Maybe just lapses of concentration for City, desperate to get back into the game, down 2-1, just losing where they are in relation to the defence.
Yeah, absolutely. But just on Borges Rodriguez, you're saying it's only his second start. We've talked about how City are missing quite a few, I suppose, first-string players. And, I suppose it's great then for the likes of someone like Borges Rodriguez who, is able to get the opportunity and, take it. And he's proven tonight that he's well worth, the starting position. He's, scored the goal. He's been, really lively down the flank. So I suppose there is a positive out of City losing all of these players because we've seen the best of someone like Borges Rodriguez.
As we see there, one perhaps not for the highlight reel of Borges Rodriguez as he commits the foul. Commentator's curse, as Marissa says, and Sean Romain will get things going again for Ballarat, and they'll work it across onto the right flank for Targeth. Eventually Lawton will flick the ball on, looking for Abdul Haji to make a run onto it, but City will pounce, and now Lechente from his position on right back combines with Jordi Valadon. Tries a spin move of his own. Back out to Valadon and then back out to Lechente, but that pass will go just long for Borges Rodriguez. But increasingly you're seeing these young City players now beginning to back themselves a little bit of these tricky-dicky spin moves and step-overs and things that if I was still playing centre-back would have made me want to go immediately through them at 1,000,000 miles an hour. As the ball is with Ballarat City on the left flank. Just will go long in the direction of Duhaji. Luca Tavir does well to manoeuvre his body in front of the bigger man and win the ball for his side. Hatzi Georgi goes back to Taleb. He'll come under immediate pressure from Angeleski and just be forced to go long. Headed back into the danger area, but Lecente's pass wasn't really aware that Duhaji was lurking, and then coming forward is Duhaji on his left boot. He'll going to have to find a man in the area. Eventually cuts it back. Just a touch to prevent the early shot coming in, but Ballarat still with the danger. Attempted effort from Jordan Lawton is blocked away, and now maybe City breaking forward. Aresti in transition. Slides the ball forward for DeCooley. Keeper has come out. Had to do it in the end because he got there just before DeCooley. Back and forth action here, both sides with excellent opportunities. Ballarat perhaps just taking a breath and working the ball across from left to right in their defence until they'll break forward once again. Eventually it's worked to Lawton in the middle of the park. He'll turn it over, giving it to Lechente. Payos, back to Aresti, back to Payos. That's Georgiou. Dances away from one man. Still going, he's a midfielder, he can run. Tries to combine with DeCooley. DeCooley loses his feet, stays on the turf, wanting a free kick, doesn't get one, but City still have the ball. Long ball over the top to Borges Rodriguez, but Borges Rodriguez touch just lets him down, and it will be a throw-in, but a furious passage of play there, Marissa.
Yeah, a really, lively tempo to the start of this second half. And you can see that, City really they've grown into the game, as we alluded to in the first half, and they are now, they're confident and they're playing like a confident team. And it's pleasant to see because we're being treated to some real end-to-end stuff.
So now that ball is attempt to be played forward through Duhaji, and then Taleb had to get off his line, but he's off his line and the long shot comes in. And how about that? Taleb is made to pay for leaving his goals as Targeth is just waiting there, pounces on the ball, calm side-footed effort, and the score here at the Veneto Club is now Ballarat City 3, Melbourne City 1, and Marissa, a very cool finish in the end there from the youngster.
A very good finish. There's always the potential to become a meme when you completely miss a shot like that, but open goal, knew where it was, knew where to stick it, and, got the goal in the end. Unfortunate from Taleb, we saw not long ago literally Shawback come off his line and it worked out well for him. Taleb does the same and gets punished, so a really end-to-end contest.
Now City staring down once again the barrel of a 2-goal deficit. They've done excellently to bring it back to 1 in the end of the first half, but with it all to do once again, looking for Kolakowski, but Kolakowski can't win the ball before Tristan Romain does. And now City throw in on the right flank. Jordi Valadon and the pressure from Lawton. He's just forced to play it back to Pales, who'll leave it for Tavir. And Gillespie apply the pressure, and then Duhaji applying the pressure to Hatzi Georgiou. Poliatidis gets it forward as rain starts to fall at the Veneto club. Dukuli in possession, gets it across to Aresti. Aresti takes on a few men and then flicks it across to Kolakowski. Kolakowski takes a touch and then flicks it back to Aresti. But it's just picked out by the Ballarat defence who'll boot the ball forward. Foot race is on. Poliatidis was in a position to win it. Instead, I'll watch it go over the line for a throw-in. It's the rain really beginning to come down now. It's coming on quickly, but that will perhaps even speed things up even more, Morrison, with the surface getting slick here on an artificial surface at the Veneto club.
I was going to say, yeah, we need to mention that it is the synthetic turf here in Bulleen, and, you know, I reckon that would potentially benefit City, but also, you know, really throw a spanner in the works, because we have been saying that they need to play it along the deck, and that might quicken it up a bit too much for them.
Kolakowski flicks it back to Borges Rodriguez. Borges Rodriguez rides the challenge once, twice. However, the third one that eventually comes in from Tinker is put out for a City short corner. Out to Kolakowski. He'll flick it across to Valadon. Valadon puts it into the area, but there's nobody waiting. And Valadon will watch it go over his head for a throw-in. Jordi Valadon making his first ever start at an NPL level. They'll try to get it across, but it's cut out by Angeleski. Strong challenge from both sides, and eventually the ball will just roll out to Hatzi Georgiou. Now breaking in, Kolakowski cuts it back. However, Borges Rodriguez just unable to get a proper boot on it, and it will be cleared away by Ballarat. Now Lucente on this right flank plays an early ball into the box. It's deflected away, but then comes back down to Aresti. But Aresti turns and swivels and shoots, but puts it over the bar for a goal kick. So, Marissa, we've just about gone an hour now here at the Veneto Club. Ballarat getting a third goal. Do you see a way for City to potentially get back into this game?
Yes and no. I suppose, you know, we saw that they did it in the first half, so there is no reason why they can't do it in the second half. It's more, I suppose, a case of, you know, making sure that they still keep things fresh, because Ballarat's not dumb. They've obviously cotted on to things like the short corners and the stuff like that. I'll let you take over.
It's Dohaji just breaking forward. They're trying to use his speed, but can't retain the ball, and it will be a goal kick for Taleb.
But no, to continue, you know, Ballarat has realised what City is doing and they've adapted, and that's exactly what you would expect from a side. But yeah, I still think that City, there's enough quality there to at least get another goal and, you know, make this game really interesting heading into the last half an hour.
Both sides battling it out there. Dohaji's strength coming into contention as he wins the ball. Sorry, not Dohaji. Now it's Dohaji on the ball. It was the strength of Tarjith. And Giorgio wins the ball and gets it out to Lucente. Lucente has some time on the right flank to advance with it. Borges Rodriguez in support. Eventually the ball is played in front of him, but it will go long, and instead Tinker will just watch it go over the line and take the throw in. Booted clear. That's Giorgio. Free kick to City in the middle of the park. City forced to play it back, but Dukuli's pass is picked out by Dohaji. However, no doing as Dukuli gets across. As we see City preparing to make a substitution. Get some fresh blood in there. They do have a number of players on the bench who, perhaps because of international duty or A-League minutes, weren't able to run out a full 90 minutes, but can now be thrown on as late reinforcement. Keeping the ball in the danger area are City. Payos. Just plays a long ball over the top. Lachente does well to keep it in. He's not the tallest chap in the world, but he gets his chest on it. But then the pass to Borges Rodriguez is cut out. Lachente coming across and eventually wins a free kick. Well done by the youngster. Once again, Duhaji just... God, you'd imagine, Marissa, that Tavir and Hatzi Georgiou will be seeing that man in their dreams tonight. He's been all over them all game.
It's been really impressive, his kind of defensive efforts and just how much pressure he is putting on them, you know, kind of preying upon the fact that, you know, they're new, they're young, they're, you know, perhaps not used to such intense, I suppose, forward pressure. So it's really smart from him. And, you know, if he continues, there's, you know, it only takes one mistake like we saw with Ballarat's third goal and he could end up on the score sheet again.
As we see City making their first substitution of the game. It is Idris Abdullahi entering the fray. Well known for making his debut for Melbourne City as a 15-year-old against the Central Coast Mariners in the final round of the season. Now Borges Rodriguez gets forward looking for Jordi Valadon. Jordi Valadon cuts it back to Borges Rodriguez. Borges Rodriguez gets into some space. He can shoot. But Borges Rodriguez's shot is well saved by Ryan Shawback. He had to do well there, getting down low to his left to just prevent the ball from sputtering under his legs and into the back of the net. Now that ball is played over the top to Duhaji, but Abdullahi getting across and using his body well. But the ball has sputtered over the line, but no, it will be a goal kick for the hosts. Abdullahi. Tavir just plays the ball forward for Payos, and Payos will get it out to Borges Rodriguez, but just once again, it's been happening a few times now in this second half, Marissa. Just these balls forward are just slightly overhit or just slightly behind the player, and City unable to properly get their attacks going.
There might be an element, I suppose, of rushing it. You know, they are 2 goals down. They know that they can utilise those flanks because they've been working for them, you know, in the past of this game. But there might be just an element of trying to rush it, trying to move it forward too quickly. And, you know, rather than executing the pass they know they can, it's, you know, going wrong in whatever capacity it is.
City have no chance. And that's it. It's a long shot that's coming from Payos. My word. No, Daniel Lachente it was. Even more so, Lachente, who's moved over to the left back position from right back with the introduction of Abdullahi, cutting inside onto his right boot and just going bang with an effort that Shawback had to rise, and it was dipping, and it would have gone in if Shawback hadn't got his hand on it.
That's 2 good saves now from Shawback, so he's currently on fire at the moment.
Comes back out, City going once again. Little dink into the area for Kolakowski, but he can't retain possession, but he does nonetheless win his side a corner, which he takes quickly once again. City not in the mood for just lobbing balls into the area, at least not at this stage. However, that bit of miscommunication there between Oresti, Kolakowski and Hatzi Georgiou, and it rolls out for a goal kick. Shawback to take it. Kolakowski and Hatzi Georgiou, the veteran figures of this Melbourne City side, both of them born in the year 2000. So if that's to make you feel old, Melbourne City's oldest players, born in the year 2000. Kolakowski, a long-time member of City's Academy. Hatsi Georgiou coming across from Melbourne Victory. That ball will go long, and Tukuli unable to keep it in. And now chance for Ballarat City to come forward, but Payos nips in front to steal the ball. He's got men in support. He tries to play it across to Kolakowski on the left. Menaravi in the middle. Kolakowski flicks it back in, but it's just headed clear by Tristan Romain. And it will be another corner for Melbourne City, which no doubt we will see them once again take quickly. Kolakowski forced to play ball boy. Ball came in, but it's booted clear by Duhaji. Now Ballarat maybe a chance to break forward quickly in transition. Leighton Lawton was coming, but the strong challenge. Other options for City on the bench in their efforts to spur a potential comeback are, well, three of them are all Joey's potential under-17 World Cup representatives, in Geordie Boss, Josh Varga and Luke Giselle. But for now, it is Ballarat who appear getting set to make the next change. It's Geordie Valadon on the left flank, tries to cut it back. The challenge comes in and knocks it out for a corner kick. However, as we have seen on form, Morrison, maybe Ballarat not as fearful of the corner as some other teams might be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just for the moment, City have really enjoyed a good period of dominance. And, you know, I think it's wise that Ballarat are making a change because something does need to give. City have really gotten on top in this kind of last 10 minutes.
That attempted pass forward goes long, and it will be a chance now for Ballarat to take another goal kick. We've gone 26 minutes in this second half. Abdullahi gets in the end of it and heads it down to Dukuli. Back to Abdullahi. Play it into the middle of the field. Valadon will lay it off faintly for Payos. That's Georgiou. Looks up and looks for Dukuli. Just lobs the ball over a potential challenge from Lawton. Still on the ball. Dukuli! In the end, it was straight at Shawback. But Yaya Dukuli looking to produce something on his own. Now the ball with Jordan Lawton. Looking for Angeleski, but Hatsi Georgiou gets across to cut it out, and then Aresti will just try to play it forward for Hatsi Georgiou, but Hatsi Georgiou, perhaps mindful of his centre-back duties, wasn't making the run that he could, and it will be an offside call on Targeth. Valadon. Dukuli, that's an excellent ball for Kolakowski, but Shawback aware of the danger. And perhaps that rain that had come down and this slippery surface here at the Veneto Club working against City in that capacity, Marissa.
Yeah, as I alluded to when it was raining, it has the potential to quicken things up, but then considering City's game plan, it could quicken things up too much, and that's what we've seen. But Ryan Shawback in this second half has really had to be on high alert. He's made some cracking saves, and he's really been called into action a lot, so needs to continue to be on high alert.
So Angeleski comes away with that one after his opposition man fell over. Still on the ball, going to work against Hatsi Georgiou, but cheeky little step over is uncontrolled and it goes out, and we see Ballarat getting set to make one of their substitutions. Will be Sean Romain departing, being replaced by Jake Francis. Jake Francis, he is a Ballarat junior. He has spent some time with who were at the time Sunshine George Cross. Of course, they are now known as Caroline Springs George Cross. But he prepares to enter the fray. Some fresh legs, fresh younger legs in the middle of that park to defends this 3-1 lead to Ballarat City. Dukuli coming inside once again from that right flank onto his left. He's got space to work in. Eventually played across to Aresti. Aresti dancing over one challenge. Back at Dukuli. He tried to flick it on. No doing, but City will retain possession. Abdullahi. Valadon. Borges Rodriguez on the left. Borges Rodriguez goes down. Never a foul. And now Ballarat can come away with the ball. Borges Rodriguez steaming back, and eventually he's won himself the ball. Abdullahi. Hatzi Georgiou. Payos falls over and it allows Ballarat to break forward once again. We've seen how lethal they can be in transition, but they're miles offside. The referee does eventually look over and see the linesman with his flag up, but situation like that, City have to be careful, don't they, Marissa? If Ballarat break, they can break quickly and they can break lethally.
They absolutely can, but I'm a bit disappointed in Ballarat that, you know, they've kind of been lacking in opportunity this second half, and to have both players miles offside is a real disappointment, because not saying that they look under pressure, but another goal, you know, certainly wouldn't go astray here, considering just how kind of dominant City has been for now a large part of this second half.
Perhaps a familiar refrain, unfortunately, for a lot of Melbourne City fans. They are dominating the possession stakes, but unable to find that lethal shot. As Borges Rodriguez, one of the stars for City tonight, gets it in for Oresti. Oresti leaves it behind. He'll get another bite of the cherry. Challenge comes in to poke it away, and now Ballarat can potentially break forward. But Lucente comes in with a challenge. Lucente, still Lucente! Off the crossbar from Lucente. Still going, however. Dakouli's shot comes in, is blocked. Valadon now, but no, it's booted clear by Ballarat. Goodness gracious, still coming. Tavir plays it back in. Goes into the breadbasket of the Ballarat defender. Eventually it's going to come out to Tinker, who just plays it forward for Duhaji. Haji against Abdullahi. Eventually he'll play it into Lawton. Angeleski's got support on the right if he plays it quickly, which he does so. Targeth given something to chase, and he does bring it down. He's got men waiting in the middle, but he falls over. However, he's done enough to retain possession. Lucente fell over as well. The two battling deep in the right flank. Jordan Lawton plays it across to his brother. Still going with it was Leighton Lawton, but now a turnover. Borges Rodriguez now. The action coming thick and fast. Kolakowski's got Dakouli and Oresti arriving in the middle. Kolakowski backed himself, and his left-footed effort eventually just goes over the bar, and he kicks the sponsors' boards in frustration. But Marissa, well, we had literally everything but a goal there.
It was a very good passage of play, I suppose, from both sides. You know, it really was an opportunity for both teams to do something. It's really good to see that, you know, they are kind of probing each other and pressing each other, because even though we've had 4 goals so far this game, another one wouldn't go amiss. So really good to see that they're both really scrapping and fighting for another goal.
Now Dakouli coming inside once again. He'll play it off to Oresti in the middle of the park. The ball is bouncing. Oresti can't control it. Still going, Oresti. Fighting for the ball. The strong challenge came in from Targeth. Lawton will play it out to Angeleski, but Lucente, who's almost produced a couple of spectacular goals, gets across to win it for City. Borges Rodriguez ignores the overlapping run, instead goes in the middle to Oresti, but he loses the ball. Angeleski looks up and he'll play a ball forward, intended to play it behind the defence for Duhaji, but Tavir was aware of the danger and got across. Payos plays it across for Tavir. Tavir can't keep it in. Instead will be a throw-in eventually for Lawton. Bit of silly buggers played from Luca Tavir. Leighton Lawton will flick it up, and we'll see the second substitution being made for Ballarat City, and it will be one Romain for another. Tristan Romain departing, being replaced by his brother Josh, who has recorded over 300 300 appearances for Ballarat throughout his long playing career. A steady head coming in at the back, Morrison, to try to perhaps calm things down for Ballarat. But that isn't calm, as they've immediately turned it over from the throw-in. Ball down the left flank. Borges Rodriguez will play it across to Oresti. Oresti will whip the ball in. Who's arriving? Dakouli is there. Kolakowski, you could see, wanted a bicycle kick. So did Dakouli. But it just didn't fall for them, and eventually Ballarat City will clear the danger. Now they've got to be careful not to get caught in transition, as that's a steaming run forward from Duhaji. Talib eventually just getting out there and putting the ball out for a throw-in. That'll be a foul throw. A rarity at this level, but foul throw nonetheless awarded. I imagine maybe laps will be the call of the day for the next training session as a bit of punishment for that. But the header comes straight back in for Duhaji, but Tavir getting across to put his body in between it. Now Borges Rodriguez. And he'll lose the ball. Targeth. And that ball is played in behind the defence. Angeleski apparently is onside. Be interesting to see the replay of that, but it did go long through to Taleb. Now coming again down this left flank, Arsidi Oresti. Played across to Payos, but Duhaji gets across to lane a challenge, and they'll be forced to go back to Tavir, who plays it across to Cooley on the right flank. Goes out for a throw-in. Ticking over now into the 82nd or so minute here at the Veneto Club. If City are to drag themselves back into this game and keep alive any hopes they have of finishing in the top six, Marissa, they need to score soon, as we'll briefly pause as Angeleski tries to get something going for, but Licente's there, yes. City need to score soon, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I fear time is kind of getting away from them, because it does, it took a while for them to get that goal in the first half. So I do fear that time is getting away from them to conjure not just, some equalisers, but then a winning goal. It's 3 goals that they need. So it might be too big a task considering the time allotted.
So now they come forward once again through Borges Rodriguez, who has been a star for City tonight. And again, he's managed to matriculate himself through a series of bodies. Cross comes in, back post to Cooley, just didn't have a shot. And eventually he did get one across, but Shawback getting down low. I don't think Cooley expected that he was actually going to receive the ball there. And when it fell to him, he didn't know what to do. But now he's got a corner, and he'll play it across to Licento, who's already stung the goals twice today, but just unable to find the back of the net. Borges Rodriguez brings it down but can't get a shot off. Abdullahi, he's going to have to play back to Tavir, but Duhaji on this occasion won't monster him, instead allowing Tavir time to play it back to Taleb, and then he gets it back. That's Georgiou. Abdullahi, Payos, Oresti flicks the ball over the top of his man, Francis, and then he battles with Francis in his attempt to recover, and then excellently worked by Jake Francis, the former Ballarat junior, winning his side a free kick. Score here as time ticks away is Ballarat City 3, Melbourne City 1. Targeth in space on the right, but it's eventually closed down and he loses the ball. Switch is on. Tavir to DeCooley. He's going to try to beat Tinker's pace, which he does. Still with DeCooley on his left boot. DeCooley doesn't pull the trigger. Gets it across to Borges Rodriguez inside the area. Can't bring him down here, can Ballarat. Gets a shot into the side netting, and it will be a goal kick. And again, we see the build-up play does look good for Melbourne City, Marissa, but just that end product is lacking.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, but also not surprising, as we've spoken about throughout the game. City are missing a lot of kind of their first 11, and, you know, within those players, there's at least 50% of the goals that have been scored during this season also gone. So it's not surprising that that kind of, you know, killer pass and then that killer touch is missing, considering who they are missing.
As that way, well done by Lawton, and then Angeleski over the bar. It's well done from Leighton Lawton to force a turnover, and he just left it in the end for Angeleski, but the shot that did come in was over the bar, as we see another substitution being made by Ballarat. Will be Angeleski departing, being replaced by Jesse Bartlett. Jesse Bartlett, possessing one of the more inspirational stories of this Ballarat side, suffered a lacerated spleen in a collision with a Moreland Zebras goalkeeper in an under-20s game back in 2017. He's come back and now enters this senior contest with his side ahead 3-1. And defending a lead with just minutes left. We have gone 40 minutes here in the second half. 5 minutes of regulation remaining as Oresti tries to find Borges Rodriguez, but it's cut out. And unfortunately for City, it looks as though any hopes they might have had of overhauling 5th place Goulburn Valley or 6th place Manningham is slipping away. Kolakowski on the left flank looks to cut it back in, but there's nobody waiting there. And Shawback, quick as a flash, off his line to collect. Ballarat look as though they are in the driving seat to win that 3rd game of the season. Daniel Tinker plays the ball forward, looking for Duhaji. Duhaji going against Hachi Georgiou. Both players with their hands up. Eventually the ball comes across to Lawton, but Tavir is there. Hachi Georgiou gets it out to Valadon. Valadon will square it to Payos, and then Payos across to Oresti. It's got Abdullahi and Borges Rodriguez in support. The ball goes out to Borges Rodriguez. Borges Rodriguez to Abdullahi. Cut back. Kolakowski can't collect. The ball went behind him. And then the challenge from Borges Rodriguez sees it go out for a goal kick. And we see City still with some names on the bench, but talking with the coaching staff behind them, they're not keen to use them because apparently Luke Giselle and Josh Varga, well, both this morning, the pair of them were training with Melbourne City's A-League side. So they've already done a full A-League session today. And if you are a young player being afforded the chance to train with the seniors, you don't want to do anything to perhaps jeopardise impressing Eric Montbert. As Borges Rodriguez coming forward once again. He's been fantastic tonight, as I think I've said about 4 or 5 times. And the ball still in play for Borges Rodriguez. There's an injury behind the play, which we'll get back to. Payos, shot comes in, low shot. It's in the back of the net. Melbourne City, perhaps with the faintest of lifelines there. There was Emil Payos, who just teed up a low effort from range. That injury behind the play is Lachente. Looks as though he's got a cramp, but Marissa, is it too little too late for Melbourne City?
I'm not sure. We're going to find out with, you know, how much injury time we have left. But, you know, it really does spice things up that we've got that second goal to City, 3-2 now to Ballarat. It's, you know, 89th minute. It really is dependent on, you know, just how generous the referees are with their time. But... Ooh, that's not good commentary, folks. But no, it definitely opens the door for City. It's whether, again, as I said before, do they have the time? Kolakowski
whips the ball back in the middle, but there's nobody waiting there, and eventually clever header getting it back out to the goalkeeper. Stefan Kolakowski bursting into space on the right flank, just whipping it back, but nobody there. Now DeCooley loses the ball to Lawton, and then Lawton will put a ball over the top for Duhaji to chase, but Hachi Georgiou, aware of the danger, plays it back out to Devere. Challenge comes in from Lawton. Now a chance for perhaps for Ballarat to maybe kill this game dead. But it's gone long and it will be a goal kick for Taleb instead. Score here in the final moments of regulation time is Ballarat City 3, Melbourne City 2. Lucente, who had been cramping up, but it looked as though he's all right to continue now. He gets it to Jordi Valadon. Jordi Valadon coming inside. Can he find a teammate? He'll cut it back to Takuli, but the challenge comes in to knock him off balance, and he can't wind up that big left foot. Jordi Valadon still in possession. Sees the challenge from Tinker, and it will go out for a corner kick. All of a sudden, the energy back in Melbourne City's legs. Lucente chips the ball in and goes down immediately, clutching at his calf muscle or his lower leg. He is absolutely buggered, is Lucente. He's run himself into the ground as the goalkeeper will put it out for a throw-in. He doesn't look to be in the best state, does Lucente? But he's really given all he has tonight, hasn't he, Marissa?
He really has, and we saw before, you know, he was down for quite a while Payos was scoring that goal, so he really has, you know, run out of gas, to be honest. But he's had quite a few shots. He's stung the palms of Shawback a few times, hit the crossbar, so he's had a decent game, really had a chance to do something spectacular, but it didn't come off, and he's now on the sidelines. Not sure if that's a substitution or not, but it is.
Looks as though a last gasp substitution for Melbourne City with Lucente unable to continue. It is Geordie Boss, who played in the under-20s earlier tonight, coming on, pulling double duty. The young Joey. God, it's a magnificently named junior side, isn't it, the Joeys? Best named side in sports is Ballarat clear. Lawton plays it long, and Duhaji can run onto it. Now the pace coming in. Can he kill the game? No, he can't, because the touch is poor and Taleb is out quickly. And now City, can they break in transition? Payos scored the second goal. Long ball over the top for Borges Rodriguez. Rafael Borges Rodriguez cuts inside, and he'll play it across for Dakuli. He'll control it down with his breadbasket onto the left foot. Dakuli, the shot came in, but it was headed away. That looked as though it could have potentially curled in. The danger not gone, however. Now Abdullahi's going to desperately try to keep this in, but he can't. Here in injury time. Potentially a foul throw, not awarded. City get another one on this right flank. Lucente is just still down, receiving cramp there. He is not in a good way. But play continues nonetheless. Hatsi Georgiou will get it across to the newly introduced Geordie Boss. Borges Rodriguez dancing around, man after man. Borges Rodriguez. If you are getting your chance to see Borges Rodriguez for the first time tonight, trust me, based on this performance, you'll get to see a lot of him in coming years. So now another ball comes in, but Kolakowski unable to get a touch on it. And it will be collected, and Ballarat survive again. They're doing excellently here to stem the tide of these Melbourne City attacks. Abdullahi controls it down, and he'll get it across. City will come again to Borges Rodriguez. You would want everything going through him the way he's playing at the moment. Borges Rodriguez coming inside into the penalty area, and he tries to get a cross into the area, but it's gone out for a corner kick. At this point, Marissa, you'd almost have to tell Borges Rodriguez, mate, just go in, get into the area, do a couple of step overs, fall over, and hope the referee gives a penalty. Now Geordie Boss plays it into the area. Payos gets it across, but there's nobody waiting there. Ballarat live to fight another day. And now they'll come away with the ball. City swarming to try to win it back, and eventually they do so. Payos tries to flick it back, but there's nobody waiting there. Long ball over the top for Duhaji to chase. He's one-on-one with Abdullahi. Idris Abdullahi He's done excellently, has the youngster. Maybe that's why he debuted as a 15-year-old in the A-League. Maybe that's why he doesn't play again, because he's turned the ball over. No, he hasn't. He's won himself a free kick. That's Georgiou standing over it. Just plays it off to Payos on his left. Borges Rodriguez again. Now he's inside the area. Keeps his feet. Still going, Borges Rodriguez. Tries to cut it across, and he's won himself another corner. Again taken quickly, Borges Rodriguez in those bright orange boots. His cross is blocked. Shawback comes across. And that is full time here at the Veneto Club. So the pressure from City, you can see it in their crushed faces. It doesn't work in the end as Ballarat hold on for their third win of the season. In the end, the 2 goals in the first 5 minutes truly coming up big for the visitors. Morrison, heartbreak for City, but joy for Ballarat as they hold on here in this contest.
Yeah, it's a great win for Ballarat. It's great that they have won considering just how poor their season has been. So it's really nice that they get to enjoy the 3 points, even though it means very little in the grand scheme of things. Melbourne City will be really disappointed. They had a really strong middle kind of bit of the second half where they probably should have scored, and they will rue that considering they did need the result in the grand scheme of things in NPL 2 East. So a disappointing result for Melbourne City, but a really good one for Ballarat City.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of 90 minutes here, it was Ballarat that took the lead early in the contest when Tristan Romain pounced on the ball that had been spilled by Taleb after a free kick. Just a few minutes later, it was Duhaji that just burst through on a fast break from Ballarat after City had failed to get a proper shot across to make it 2-0. City did get one back when Yaya Dukuli and Rafael Borges Rodriguez combined to make it 2-1 going into the half, but then Tarjith early in the second half just taking advantage of Taleb coming off his line to clear the danger and finishing from range into an empty net. Payos did make it interesting very late with a low shot that skidded into the goals, but in the end, no doing as Ballarat City, the artists formerly known as the Red Devils, take all 3 points here at the Veneto Club. So the final score from David Barrow Stadium as Ballarat acknowledge their travelling fans who have come down from the Goldfields. The final score, Ballarat City 3, Melbourne City 2. Thank you for joining us today on the NPL Victoria Facebook and YouTube pages. I've been joined by Marissa Lordanic today. Thank you for joining me, Marissa. I have been Joey Lynch. Be sure to tune in through the rest of the season. But for now, goodbye.